In your business, you're going to have people that reach out with good and bad questions. This system in front of us is going to help us so that when we get good interactions, people leave us Google reviews and we go on to get more business because people know who we are. We're also going to have this system take care of when stuff doesn't go our way. So people ask for a refund, they have a bad interaction, they want to speak to a manager. We're also going to have in this system a path to go through that escalation process so that they're not more upset, more angry. It gets handled by somebody with maybe more authority versus the sales rep or the support rep. So in this system here, everybody should have this. What I see often is that people are doing this, but it's usually just still stuck in their head. They don't actually have this mapped out as a process. And so it's streaky. It's inconsistent with how they go about handling each one of these situations, which in the long run really makes it hard to give feedback and actually see things on paper to see, are we having good interactions or bad interactions? It's more of a gut feeling that we're starting to report. So the manager will say, yeah, I would say most of the time it's good. But what does that really mean? We don't really know because we don't have a report that just shows if it was a good or bad interaction. So this system will help us do that, help us make sure we protect our reputation. And like I said, build it if you are getting a lot of good reviews. We want to turn those into Google reviews, G2 reviews, so that more people can find out who we are. So reading this overview, the diagram in front of us is going to show us how a business automatically sends and follows up on support surveys after a ticket is closed so they can collect feedback, spot problems early, and improve customer service. So where this starts is when someone reaches out to your support rep and they are done working with that client. They feel like they've solved the problem. They're going to close that case out. At that point is when we want this system to take off. So the very first thing that I recommend doing from there is assessing whether or not we should send them a survey. There's a lot of examples of why we shouldn't send a survey out. It might just be bad timing. An example of that would be they just reached out yesterday. They're following back up on something today. It's the same problem. It's the same kind of question as yesterday. Okay, if they already filled out a survey yesterday, we probably don't want to spam them with another one to have them fill it out. It could also raise escalation. So if it's a bad interaction, we know it's a bad interaction, probably don't want to call attention to having them rate our performance and maybe escalating that to where they want to take that review public online somewhere. There could also just be like billing and spam and auto close tickets that are just not something we really want to collect feedback on. So I wrote some of those out to the right here of why we would want to skip this, but there are going to be situations where you want to skip it. So what we have done in our business is we've created a checkbox, and that checkbox is available to the manager that just says, hey, are we okay to skip this survey? And if the answer is yes, they can check it, and then it won't send the survey to that person. In our situation, though, we send them once a month because we're a service business. We're helping people with Salesforce consulting. So we're sending these out monthly. So we have a lot of time in between to determine if we want to skip it or not. It might be a little bit different how you do this if you're sending these out after every ticket or interaction and you get those maybe daily. So something to consider there, but I would still have a way to be able to skip surveys if you don't feel it's appropriate to send them. If we don't skip it, then we want to send out that survey, obviously. And then from there, we're going to determine whether or not there has been some type of submission to that survey that we prompted them to take. So in the no path over here to our left, what we have it set up to do in our own business again is we will remind them 2 more times. You might want to do more than that. You might want to do less than that, depending on the survey. But I would have some series of reminders to go back out because they're likely not going to do it every single time on the first try. Sometimes people need an extra nudge to take the survey. And that's why we have this path over here. So if they don't, we send the second reminder. We wait a few days to see if it's been submitted. And then we'll send another reminder. And then we wait a few days to see if it's been submitted. And in that case, if they still have not, we just end this whole thing. We don't try to continue to remind them. We just kind of ignore it and we prompted them 2 or 3 times. They didn't take it. So we're just going to move on from here. We want to make sure we're towing the line between prompting people and nudging them to do it because it's helpful for us, but also not spamming them and trying to cause a negative interaction by continuously sending them emails to send out a survey back to us. So we do it, like I said, total of 3 times, the initial and then 2 reminders. In those situations, we're looking to see if they submit. If they ever do submit, they give us their feedback. Then we want to go over here to the yes path. Okay. The yes path, I have this one anywhere where there's dotted lines. These are kind of optional based on the size of your business. If you're smaller, let's say towards the 3 million mark in revenue, then what I would recommend here is that you may still have limited interactions with your clients, meaning you're not getting a ton of these. And I know, at least for my business, it's similar. Again, we only send these out per month. So for our managers, I like for them to be able to have this notification right away, because we're just not getting a lot of it. It's not noise to them at this point. It's still manageable for them to be able to see when these things come through. And it's almost exciting for them too, because we know with our customers, not every single person's going to do it, but we still get a maybe 50 to 75% of them that do it every month. And when that happens, it's nice for the manager to know and then go and alert his team right away. Hey, we got some feedback. Here's what the feedback said. So if you're smaller, less interaction, and it's not too much noise, I would do this. Now, if you're bigger and you get tons of tickets every day, this is just too crazy. I wouldn't want to push this to your manager, because the likelihood that they're going to read all of those and look at them is slim to none. And if anything, it's going to cause some type of numbness towards notifications in general, because they're going to assume, oh, it's just this, interaction that comes through every single day, a few times a day. Not going to be looking at it, and they stop looking at the emails or Slack messages that you're sending them. So if you're bigger, I wouldn't really recommend doing that one. From there, though, what we want to make sure we do no matter what is record that CSAT score somewhere. So if we're doing this in Salesforce, what I would do is we have it set up to where there is what you call a custom object in Salesforce. We've named our CSAT survey, and this is where we record the score that they gave us. For us in particular, we like to just do 3 different options for how well they liked the service. That way it's black and white. You don't run into these weird middle numbers. If you think of like 1 through 10, a problem that people see is that they'll get like 6, 7, and 8. And it's like, we can kind of judge what that means, but it always also means something different to everybody. My 7 might be a different from somebody else's 7. And so it creates this no man's land where it's like, what does a 7 really mean? Is that like pretty good? Is that bad to you? Like, what does that mean? Versus 3 questions for us has been super helpful, because we actually don't have them by a number. We actually have it by how did things go last month? Bad, or satisfied, or very happy. That way we know if they pick the middle one, it's like, hey, no complaints, everything's going fine. If they pick the right, it's like things are fantastic. You guys are going above and beyond. And if they pick the last one bad, then obviously it's very clear that, hey, it's not going well. That's been easy for us. So I'd recommend going with a scoring system that's similar to that. I've liked the 3. And then we stamp that on this object called CSAT survey, where we can all go back and look at it. We're also going to submit the date that they finished this, so we know, hey, this is when we sent it out. This is when they sent us back the survey results. It's just nice to know when you're looking at reporting. So I would have this here as well. From there, we want to look at the result, and this is where we want to take care of stuff if it's good or bad. So in this situation where we have the 3 options, if they're very happy, we want to send a thank you email automatically to them to say thanks for filling this out and giving us your feedback. And then we also want to prompt them to leave us whatever is going to be the initiative for your business at this time. Tech businesses, I feel like you guys will usually differ between caring about G2 reviews and Google reviews. So insert wherever you want the review here. For us at the moment, it's Google reviews. So we then will prompt them, hey, it's probably a good time to also prompt you to give us a Google review, because you just said it went fantastic. So we're playing off that emotional high they had, that things went really well, and we want to capture that in the moment to then give us a review where we want it. Usually leads to them giving us a really good review, because again, they're emotionally charged with good feelings about our interaction. If they choose the okay, satisfied, this kind of depends on how you want to handle it. For my business right now, I don't actually flag this for review, because ours actually just says satisfied, not okay. So it depends on what you name your middle option. Satisfied to me is just satisfied. I mean, it's not crazy above and beyond, and you're going way above the mark in my head. But at the same time, like, I'm happy, like there's no issues. So in this situation, it's fine. If you name it something like okay or neutral, maybe you just ask if it's neutral feeling, then I would flag this for review and see what you can be proactive about to change their opinion on that, or see where you can be improving essentially. I would still send them a thank you email in this situation. It's neutral and you still appreciate, obviously, the feedback they're giving you. So still send this and then flag it for review internally. Now, if it's bad, this is going to be our escalation path. So if they come back and they say things went really bad, then we want to escalate this to a manager. Again, on the size of your business, you might want to look at this different. Going back to the 3 million mark, if you're a little bit smaller, you likely just want to push this right to your manager and have them handle it. Now, as you get bigger, that might get a little more unsustainable. And so what I would do in that situation is determine how bad it was. Now, if you're doing a score from 1 to 5 and it's a 1, maybe only in the situation they give us a 1, we want to send it to a manager. If it's like a 2 or a 3, maybe we just go to the team lead, right? So there could be some sub levels to this of how you want to escalate ideas. But the point being is, if it's bad, we want to probably get some other eyes on it within the business to understand what's happening here. So in our situation, being smaller, we're going to escalate this to a manager. We're going to send a follow-up email with that manager CC'd on it and just say, hey, we got your feedback. We are going to follow up with you shortly on some of the feedback that you did provide. We are appreciative of it. Basically just letting them know, hey, we're not taking this lightly, and we do appreciate that you were honest with us about it. From there, we are going to stamp manager required. This helps us know what cases required a manager's assistance. When we pull reports in the long run, we can look for this field in Salesforce and see a percentage, because we can then do some math there. How many were actually marked as manager required, where we had to have someone step in, and what were those issues? Were they billing issues? Were they refunds? Were they working with a specific individual every single time? It's going to help you to know that. So we're going to stamp that a manager was required when this happens. And then we're going to assign this to the manager. The manager will then work, in this situation being smaller, they're going to work to resolve this issue with that client. Now, if you get a little bit bigger, same thing. It's probably not likely that your manager every single time is going to work to resolve this. This might roll up to a team lead, and maybe you have the manager CC'd on it, or it just gets reassigned to somebody that handles that problem a little bit more effectively, a little senior position. Doesn't have to go all the way to a manager, but maybe it just gets reassigned from the person it was to somebody else that handles that issue to try to resolve from there. From there, what I would say that you end this all with is, this doesn't really do much good to collect all the data in Salesforce unless you're reviewing it. So either weekly, if you get a lot of interactions, maybe it's monthly if you're like us and we just send these out once a month. But what we do here is, when we get those reviews, we do review them as a team. So the manager will come together. Here's what we got. Here's the feedback from all these different accounts. This is kind of reading between the lines on the feedback we got of whether or not this is going well or this is going poorly. And also what to watch out for. So I would also make sure you have some type of step as a last thing here, that you're going to review this so you can see what's working and what's not. Again, kind of pointless to collect the data if you're not going to try to make a difference on what you should be changing. Okay, cool. So if you do not have this system in play, you want to get this installed in your business, and you've not done this before, where you want someone like ourselves, where we've done this a number of times before, you can click the link below. The link below will send you over to see if we are a good fit as your consultants. We don't work with every business. We specifically try to work with tech companies. So we want to make sure that we line up with you guys first. And if that is the case, we'd love to come in, sit down to see how this is working in your business, and then make this custom to how it works for your business. So we can add to this, take away from this as we need to. So if that sounds interesting, click the link below, and I look forward to speaking with you guys soon. Thanks.